This is a special report from True Crime Today and the Hidden Killers podcast.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage in the trial of Scot Peterson, the Parkland School resource officer. We're up to segment number 2 of today. Let's go to the courtroom.
Jurors entering.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Come on in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Come on in. Once you're back in those same seats, you may be seated. All the parties may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you using the notepads, I will give you a moment to get the notepads out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, when we took our quick restroom break, we were in the middle of the state's presentation. We're going to resume at that point. State, when you're ready, you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Bryan Scot to the stand.
Mr. Klinger, are we going to use the overhead? Are you using the overhead?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir, if I could have you come all the way up here to the witness stand, please. Once you reach it, but before you have a seat, if you could just stop and look at me, please. Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Please be seated. And once you are seated, if I could just scoot that chair all the way up as far as it will go, can you please state your full name and spell your full name?
Bryan Joseph Staubly, Brian Josephstaubly.
Mr. Klinger, you may inquire.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Staubly.
Morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Hanging in there.
All right. Could you please let the jury know who you are, give them a little background information?
My name is Bryan Staubly. I was a campus monitor at Stoneman Douglas, also coach. I coached there for 13 years, retired this year, retired as a campus monitor in 2020.
And congratulations on your retirement. When you say campus monitor, could you explain to us what that entails or what that means as a job description?
Well, campus monitor, when I was first hired, I was told that what we would do was we would observe and report, but we did a lot more than that. We had an area at the school we had to take care of. If there were students outside of class, we had to make sure they had a pass. We checked bathrooms to make sure nothing was going on in the bathrooms, and then if somebody needed to be taken out of class, they would call us and we'd go remove them from class and bring in the student services.
Okay, so what area of the school was your assigned area?
At that time, I was the 900 building, 400 building, in that area there, and over by the gym.
All right. Had you, as a campus monitor, had you had any training on what is known as a code red?
Yes.
Could you describe that training for us, please?
When they did a code red, like a code red drill, we had to make sure everybody in our area that all the rooms were locked, the lights were off, and all the kids were, the teachers got the kids into a safe, what they called a safe space.
And Could you describe to us what that's meant by the word safe space?
They would get them away from the windows, away from the doors, basically take them to the back of the room, get them down, and have them be quiet.
And do you remember, if talking about the year 2018, because we're going to be talking about February 14th of 2018, was there any time in and around that time that there was any training done for the faculty and the administration?
I don't really remember. I know we did have one. We did have some people come in, and we did have a meeting, but I don't know how long before 2018 that was.
All right. Well, at that meeting, was that a meeting on Code Red?
Yeah, we did a Code Red meeting.
Pardon?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And is that where you were instructed and other folks were instructed about going to the hardened areas and taking precautions?
Yeah, I would assume, yes.
Judge, at this time, with what is already in evidence as State's Composite 6, it would be number 1 out of that composite. I would like to play for the witness.
Yeah, you're going to play F1 of State's Exhibit 6?
Yes, sir.
That's fine. Is this something that can be broadcast in the court?
Yes, it can.
You all will let me know if we arrive at material that cannot.
Absolutely.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Sabisky, could you stop it for just a moment? Mr. Stolle, do you recognize what this particular room that we're looking at on the video?
Yeah, that's student services.
I'm sorry?
Student services.
Student services, and do you know in what building number that would be in?
100 building.
Okay. Thank you. Is that you?
Yes.
Could you stop for just a moment? Could you identify for us who we're seeing in the picture?
That's Kelvin Greenleaf.
Okay, and do you know what his position was at?
Yeah, he was a security specialist.
Okay, thank you. Is that you going in that door?
Yes.
And that door leads to where?
That's the 800 building.
All right. Stop it just for a moment, please. Is that you, Mr.
Yes.
Okay. At that point where you are standing, the building, we're looking at it. You said that you had gone in the 800 building, the building to the other side, which would be to our right. What building is that?
That's the 700 building.
All right. And you've identified Mr. Greenleaf. At this point, can you see Defendant Peterson?
I don't remember. I was walking.
All right. Can you go ahead and... Would you stop, please? Sir, do you see yourself again?
Yes.
All right. Can you tell the jury what you're doing at that point and where you're going?
I do believe that I heard the first gunshot, and at that point, I saw some students in the parking lot. They were kind of hiding behind some cars. So I went out and tried to get them off campus, was yelling at them to run and get off campus and go across Pine Island Road.
The parking lot that they were in, where was that parking lot located?
That was what they called the senior lot. The kids were in the north part of the parking lot across from the 1200 building.
Okay. Can you continue with the video, please? And is that you walking back?
Yes.
Okay. Was there any particular reason why you were walking back?
I do believe Deputy Peterson told me to get out of there.
Did he tell you why you should get out of there?
No, just, Bryan, come back, get out of there.
All right. You're looking now, were you over there? Was Deputy Peterson there?
Yes.
Or were you just, okay. And
Yep.
What's happening now?
Yep.
Where are you off to at this point?
Well, at that point, the fire alarm had gone off, and there was, I'm not sure, well, I do believe the fire alarm went off, and there were students coming out of the 700, and as you can see, there's somebody walking my way now.
Right.
And that's when I turn and start yelling at everybody to go in the opposite direction.
Now, at that point, are you looking at why are you telling the students that?
Because there's gunshots going off.
Okay. And, thank you. You heard the gunshots?
Yes.
Where did you believe the gunshots were coming from?
Well, I believe the gunshots were coming from inside the 1200 building.
Okay. I'm going to put up a map of the school. In this particular diagram, can you see where the 1200 building is?
Yeah, it's this building right here.
Judge,
You want him to annotate it?
Yes. Mr. Slave, on the screen you see all the little squares at the bottom. I believe up at the top. Oh, my glasses on. There's a pen.
There's an icon bottom left, sir. You see the icon bottom left? It's a pencil.
You just hit the pencil button at the bottom left.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Okay, and if you could just maybe make a circle where the 1200 building is. The parking lot where you said you had seen those students. Can you also maybe just make a little X where that parking lot is? Okay. Thank you. And if you could just do me a favor and also maybe just mark where the administration building is.
It's right around in right here.
But it helped. Okay. I could turn the map if it helped. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. The corridor where you're standing with Kevin Greenleaf, and then later on the corridor, it's the same. Is it the same corridor with them when you see the student and you tell them to get back and go same corridor?
That's the same corridor that we came down.
Okay, between the 800 and the 700.
Right, between
Okay.
the 700 and 800.
And I know it's getting a little crowded. Just if you could just put a quick little circle around where that is. Appreciate it. Perfect. Thank you. Great. All right. At the point in time when we see you on the video telling that student to move back, what happens after that? What do you do after that?
Well, I ran back. We were getting everybody away from the 1200 building. We were funneling kids into the auditorium, kids and a few staff members into the auditorium, and then I went into the auditorium with them.
Okay. And is the auditorium in or part of Building 8?
Yes.
Now, I do want to back up a little bit because the video sort of got us slightly ahead of ourselves. At the very beginning of the video, how did you first know that something was going wrong that afternoon?
Well, I was in student services. I take care of the buses, so I was getting the clipboard to get the bus to take out to take care of the buses, and it came across the radio that it sounded like firecrackers going off inside the 1200 building.
Okay. Now, let me ask you a little something about the radio. Can you describe for the jury what you mean when you say the radio?
Well, each campus monitor and staff members, APs and security specialists, everybody, we had radios that we would we'd be on a certain frequency and we would talk back and forth to each other.
When you say APs, what do you mean by APs?
Assistant principals and...
Okay. And so everybody would be on the same channel?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, was any of those conversations recorded?
I'm not positive.
Okay. Have you ever heard a recording from the school radio?
I don't remember.
So the first thing you heard, after you heard on the school radio that initial information about firecrackers, what did that prompt you to do?
Well, it prompted me to head down to the 1200 building to see what was going on.
Okay.
So that's where I headed.
All right. And did you hear anything further on your school radio?
Tell you the truth, I headed down there. There was a lot of chatter going on the radio. But once I got down there and then I saw the kids in the parking lot, and what I tried to do and what I tried to concentrate on was getting everybody away from the 1200 building, the kids in the parking lot, and then turned around and got everybody away from the 1200 building and headed south. And then we got them into the auditorium.
And what was the reason why you were trying to get everyone away from the 1200 building?
There was gunfire.
The kids we talked about that were in the parking lot, did you see them go into the parking lot, or were they already there?
They were already there.
After you attempted to yell at them or to get them to move, did they move or did they remain where they were?
I do believe they moved.
Okay. And can you just describe in better detail, like, what were they doing in the parking lot?
They were crouched down behind some of the cars and looking at me, like, what do we do? And they were scared to death.
And then they ran after you?
I told them, get it off campus, run through the open gate, get across Pine Island Road.
Okay. Now, we saw you as you were walking before the defendant called you back. At any point while you were walking to or from that position toward the students and then back, were you afraid of being hit by any bullets?
I really didn't think about it. I was pretty sure that the shots were coming from inside the 1200 building, but I really didn't think about getting hit by. I was concentrating on getting the kids out of there.
And did you hear any sounds of bullets whizzing by your head or
No.
breaking glass? Anything
No.
like that? What happened, you could tell the jury what happened after you were in the 800 building, the auditorium, locked down with the kids. What happened after that?
Well, we got them all in there, then we got them down on the ground in front of the rows. I forget how many rows that we had to use. And then once we got them down and quiet, and I told them, take out your phones, please text your parents to let them know you're okay. So a lot of them are doing that. And then one in front of me said, "Coach." I said, "What?" He said, "There's somebody up in the glass enclosure," which was the glass enclosure on top in the back of the auditorium. So we didn't know who was up in that glass enclosure. So I went to the back of the auditorium, and luckily, when I got to the back, there were police coming in through the front red gates. So I brought some of them in. 3 of them came in, 2 male, 1 female. The 2 males went up into the glass enclosure, and there was 1 kid up there, and they brought him down. He was just hiding up there, but he also had an ROTC shirt on.
I see. Had you heard anything earlier in the day about an ROTC shirt?
No.
Were you then evacuated out of the building?
What's that?
Were you then allowed to leave the building once the police arrived?
No.
Oh.
They put a female officer in the back at the entrance to the auditorium, and then I stayed with the rest of the kids that were in there and kept them quiet, kept them down.
Do you know approximately how long you were in there?
It seemed like forever, but it was probably about 20 minutes, maybe a half hour.
Okay. And how were you let out?
SWAT came in. I mean, there was a bunch of police officers that came in, and they got everybody to the front by the stage, and then they brought us out the back, and then had us walk across Pine Island.
And was there anything else you did that day, or did you go home after that?
No, we all had to go to Heron Bay to the Marriott and give statements.
As a campus monitor, did you carry any weapons on you?
No.
Did anyone at the school carry a weapon?
Yes.
Who was that?
Deputy Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. Solomon. We very much appreciate your coming in.
Thank you.
Cross-examination, go ahead.
Thank you, Ron. Still good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Stabler. First of all, congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
You were a campus monitor, if I heard you correctly, correct?
Correct.
And that's at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, correct?
Correct.
You worked then very closely with Scot Peterson, did you not?
What's that?
You worked then very
Yes, I did.
closely with Scot Peterson, right? You were a coach there in 2011, weren't
Right.
you? And then you were hired as a campus monitor in 2014, isn't that correct?
Correct.
How would you characterize your relationship with Scot Peterson?
We had a good relationship.
How would you describe his work ethic and what he did?
He always was working hard. He always did his job.
Was he professional?
Yes, very professional.
If you saw that there were kids fighting, would he get involved?
Yes.
Try to separate kids?
Yes.
You ever see him say, "Oh, I'm not getting involved, I'll stay over here"?
No.
Did you ever see him put himself in harm's way to stop things?
He broke up fights. Yeah.
Would he also then investigate other crimes that took place?
Yes.
And there were kids who, if they were selling drugs, he would get involved and do that?
Yes.
Would he do his job thoroughly and zealously and effectively?
Yes.
And you never saw him cower in any way, being a coward, correct?
No.
It was just the opposite, correct?
Correct.
You described a code red. When somebody says code red, who is that for the benefit of? Why would you yell a code red?
Well, you're trying to get all the students and staff and everybody away from whoever you think is on campus that's going to cause a problem, that's going to be shooting into rooms or shooting.
So this day, for example, my client ordered a code red. That would have been for the benefit of the kids and teachers and faculty in the 1200 building, correct?
Yes.
And what they were instructed to do then when there's a code red is not wander in the hallway, but to actually hunker down and protect themselves in case there was any sniper fire or any firing into the rooms, correct?
Correct.
And by the way, all teachers know that if they ever leave their classroom, let's say during a fire alarm going off, they're to bring their keys with them, correct?
Correct.
I see you making a face. Not everybody brought their keys with them, correct?
There was one that locked his keys in the...
Tell us what happened.
Well, I'm not sure because
Objection. It's being asked, it's speculation.
Okay, sir, the objections are ruled, but I don't want you to guess. If you have personal knowledge, you can answer the question. If you do not have personal knowledge, you can say, I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. We saw on the video, if we can pull that up, can I ask you to pull up the video again? And while he's doing that, I'll just ask you a few questions, okay? You learned initially that there were fireworks on campus somewhere, correct? That's how the call went out over the school radio, correct?
It said it sounded like fireworks going off in the 1200 building.
Got it. So it wasn't, there's an active shooter. No one said that over the phone, over the radio,
No.
correct? You all believed that we were dealing with someone who was possibly letting off firecrackers, correct?
Correct.
Which, in your many years of being there, that was something so extraordinarily unusual, right?
Well, the whole time I was there, I don't ever remember anybody lighting off firecrackers, but then again, it was Valentine's Day, so...
Right. You thought it might have had something to do with that, correct?
Correct.
Right. We all set there or no? Okay, great. I just want you to watch the video, and I'm just going to ask you some questions. If you don't mind, I'll tell you to pause it a couple times. This, by the way, is the 100 building where my client works out of, correct?
Correct.
And would you see him occasionally having his radio being charged in his office?
Yes.
Because those radios, unless they're charged, they'll run out, correct?
Correct.
Right. This is, you see Scot Peterson, right? He's on his radio like this? That's
Yes.
him? Okay. And that's Mr. Greenleaf, Kelvin Greenleaf?
Yes.
Correct? And you see them running because the fire alarm went off, correct?
Correct.
Pause it for one moment. Just so the jurors know, the fire alarm is meant to be super loud, is it not?
Yes.
That's not a low thing. That is something to get everyone's attention. And certainly in the hallways here, it's extremely loud, correct?
It's loud throughout the whole school.
Got it. Okay, so let's keep going. And tell me when you see you. Is that you right there at the top?
Yes, that's me with the clipboard.
Okay, so stop right there, okay? You're aware that eventually Denise Reed, who's Denise Reed, by the way?
Denise Reed was the assistant principal who was in
Okay.
charge that day.
Okay, she was in charge, correct?
Correct.
And she is going to be coming up right behind you, correct?
I do believe so, yes.
All right, tell us when you see Denise Reed on the screen. Could those be her legs right there?
Yes, it is.
All right, stop it. Stop. Okay, so about how much distance is there between you and her? Where that she's by the garbage can, correct?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just give me an estimate.
20 feet.
Okay. Now, at this moment right here, at 2:24:40, because that's what it says at the top left, where would Mr. Peterson be in relation to where Denise Reed is at that point?
I do believe he'd be out in front of where it says 9, somewhere in that area there.
Wait, 9. Oh, so to the right of the screen. Can everybody see that? I can have you circle it, but the right
I do believe they were around, maybe in front of here somewhere.
Oh, you know how to do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't know.
Good. All right. And so, are you good at estimating? I know you were uncomfortable a minute ago. Can you have an idea between where Denise Reed is, right there, where we see her by the garbage can, to the area that my client is at the bottom of the screen? Are you comfortable estimating?
Judge, I'm gonna-
No, not really.
Hold on, sir. What's the
We're
legal objection?
justifying his memory and not from the video.
The question is how far the distance was between himself and another person who was there? Is that the question?
No, we had done that already, and now where he circled, where he thought my client was located, between where Miss Reed is at the top by the garbage can, the estimation between there and, I can actually draw it. Okay.
So the objection's overruled,
Yeah, you can-
sir, but I don't want you to, the state's point is well taken. I don't want you to answer the questions based on what you see in the video. I want you to answer the questions based on what your personal knowledge is.
Yeah,
Okay? You can answer the question. Go ahead, sir.
Absolutely. Obviously, you've been at
Hold
that
on,
school.
Mr. Iger. Hold on.
So what is the estimation between where Miss Reed is in that photograph and approximately where Mr. Peterson is located there?
I don't know, 75, 100 feet maybe, I guess. I don't.
Okay. And do you hear Miss Reed saying anything as you're going into the building?
I don't remember. I know at one time, well, I don't remember really going into the
Hold on, hold on.
building.
What's the legal objection?
Hearsay.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Without telling us what, maybe you don't remember her saying, do you hear anything at all as you're going into that room with the fire alarm going off? Do you
No.
hear anything?
No,
Okay.
other than a fire alarm, I guess.
That's it. Because as you're going in and as Denise Reed is following you, the fire alarm is very loud, correct?
Correct.
Okay. If we can, hold on, I'm going to try to use the eraser for my first time. Okay. All right. If we can proceed with the video. It looks like you're going into, what room is that right there that you're going
Well,
into?
that's the band room. That's the 800.
Pause for a moment. That's the band room. That's the 800 building?
Right.
Okay. And that's where she would remain throughout the shooting, correct? Do you know?
No, I
All
don't.
right, we'll ask somebody outside. But this is Denise Reed now following you seconds after you go in there, correct?
Correct.
And if we can proceed. Okay. You don't, pause for a moment, you don't ever see her walking down the hall and having any contact with my client, correct?
Same objection, Judge, but she testifying his memory.
Yeah, at this point, that invades the province of the jury. That's sustained. If he's not present, he can't tell the jury what's on the video. They get to decide that for themselves.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir. Ask your next question.
My question is very specifically, do you recall, as you're seeing this, does that refresh your recollection as to whether you ever...
Mr. Iger, the objection is sustained. He cannot refresh his memory with
I got it.
something that he was not present for. The jury can see what's on the video just as easily, and they will
Got it.
make
Okay.
the determination. Go ahead, sir. Ask your next question.
Fair enough, okay. So we can take this off, all set. Now, when you headed towards the 1200 building, Mr. Peterson, Scott, and Mr. Greenleaf, they were already down there, correct?
Correct.
They were there first before you got there, correct?
Correct.
So you did not hear the shots that killed Aaron Feist, is that correct?
Correct.
They were there for that experience, you were not, correct?
No.
They had actually passed you on the golf cart, so they got there first, correct?
Correct.
And you hear one shot when you got close to the building, correct?
Correct.
This wasn't, you referred to it as the first gunshot. That wasn't the actual first gunshot fired. That was just the first one you heard, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, there were many gunshots before you even got there, correct?
Yes.
Including the one when Aaron Feist was shot, correct?
Yes.
And that would have been on the west side of the 1200 building, correct?
Correct.
And would you agree with the estimation from the east side to the west side of approximately 3/4 of a football field in terms of
Yeah,
size?
it's a long ways.
Okay. And when you heard that one shot, Scott was over by the 700 building stairwell, correct?
Correct.
Was there or was there not any type of echo in that area?
Well, it was loud coming out of the 1200 building.
Okay.
So,
My question specifically was, and if you need to look at your deposition, you remember giving a deposition?
Yes, I did.
Right? If you need to look at that to refresh your recollection, you let me know.
Yeah, that's sustained. Go ahead, sir, ask your next
Do
question.
you recall whether there was a significant echo in that area?
well, it was very loud coming out of the 1200 building.
I understand that, and that goes to sound, how loud it was. But if something could be loud, you agree, and not necessarily echo, correct?
Counsel testifying.
Yeah, can I do a quick sidebar, please? Thank you.
Yes or no, did you describe the sound that you heard as having a significant echo? Yes or no?
Yes.
And that was in the area right around where my client was, correct?
Correct.
And when there was an echo, could you hear it down the hallway?
No, I don't remember.
What's that?
It was just loud coming out of the building. I don't remember it going down the hallway.
Okay.
I was standing in front.
Do you remember me asking the following question to you, page 9, line 7?
Your Honor.
What's the legal objection?
Improper impeachment.
That's sustained.
You said, did I not hear you correctly, that you couldn't hear an echo through the whole hallway? Is that your testimony?
I don't remember. I mean, I remember hearing the shots. I remember they were loud. They were loud coming out of the building. They were loud all through. I mean, everybody was hearing the shots.
Okay. The echo that you described earlier, was that including the whole hallway area? Do you recall?
I don't recall. I mean, like I said, they were loud. They could have been. I mean, everybody was hearing the fire.
Okay. Let me ask you something. You say you don't recall. Would looking at your deposition help refresh your recollection as to whether there was echo throughout the whole hallway?
Sure.
Okay. If I can approach the witness.
Sure. Please receive a counsel's.
Yep.
Yeah, page 9.
I don't have it.
You don't have a copy of the deposition?
I have it. Page 9,
Yep.
line number 2.
7 through 11.
All right, so the point of the exercise is the attorney's going to ask you to read something, so just take your time, read it to yourself. When you're done reading it, you can look up, and I'm sure the lawyers will have more questions for you, but what I don't want you to do is read from the document. Okay? Just read it to yourself, see if that refreshes your memory, and then the lawyers will ask you additional questions.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection now?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it was loud. It was going through by the 700 down
Okay.
where everybody could hear.
So you do remember the echo traveling down the 700 building hallway, correct?
I guess, correct.
You also witnessed students crouched down in the senior lot, correct?
Correct.
If I showed you a diagram, could you show us generally where you saw? Because the senior lot is kind of large. Are you able to do
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I already did that. I did that. But go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to see if you could do that on... You might have to stand up. Just, if this is a 1200 building, and this is a 700 building, can you show us where the students were located?
Right in here.
Over in here?
Yeah, they're right in here on the north side.
Okay.
And then here's the open gate, and I'm just yelling at them, get through the open gate and get out of there.
Got it. Those students, they were crouched down in a position of cover, weren't they?
Yes,
And they seemed scared to you, correct?
correct,
And did it appear to you that they had also heard gunshots?
correct.
And you wanted them to get out of the way because you were concerned for their safety, correct?
Correct. I wanted everybody away from the 1200 building.
Got it. Because, again, you didn't know if the shots were contained within the building or whether they were coming out somewhere, correct?
Correct. I mean, it could.
You also, at the time, didn't know how many shooters there were on campus. Nobody told you at that moment, correct?
No, we didn't know.
So there could have been multiple shooters from different directions in different areas on campus, correct?
Correct.
You believe that you were standing in a dangerous spot where you were near Mr. Peterson, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Even though you believed that you thought that shots were emanating from the 1200 building, you never turned to my client in real time. And I'm not blaming you for this, but that just didn't occur. You never turned to him and said, I think that there's shots in the 1200 building, correct?
Objection.
Correct.
Again, counsel is testifying.
No, that one's overruled, so you can answer that question. Go ahead.
Correct.
You never conveyed that to my client, correct?
Correct.
You did see my client as he was there in a position of cover. You saw him talking on his BSO radio, correct?
Yeah, he was talking on both radios, I do believe, when I was standing there.
And when you say both, you know that he has what? BSO police radio. And he also, on the other side, has a school radio, correct?
Correct.
And he's in that moment, he's talking on both, correct?
I do believe so, yes.
You didn't see him just standing there doing
No.
nothing, correct?
No.
You saw him with his gun out, correct?
Correct.
You also heard him trying to get everything shut down so nobody could come onto campus, correct?
Yeah, I heard him trying to say, shut down, Holmberg, shut down.
You also saw him looking all the way west, did you not?
Yes.
So west of the 1200 building, you saw him looking in that direction, correct?
Oh, I know he was on the radio. I was concentrating on, once I saw the kids in the parking lot, then I saw the kids out from the 700 building. I concentrated on getting them out of there.
And when you were interviewed by FDLE, you told FDLE that there was an echo in that area, correct?
What? Give me the legal objection?
Ms. Peterson, referencing an improper impeachment.
Well, no, the witness is here. Go ahead, sir. That's overruled. You can answer the question.
I'd have to go back and look at it, but like I said, it was loud, so it was traveling.
But when you remember, you were interviewed by law enforcement, correct?
Correct.
And that would have been closer to when this event occurred, correct?
Correct.
And your memory would have been fresher, correct?
Correct.
And if you believed that there was an echo, right, in that area, you would have then shared that with them, correct?
Correct.
You never saw any muzzles flashing, correct?
No.
You never saw any glass breaking out of any windows?
No.
You never saw any smoke that would alert someone that there's somehow gunfire in that building, correct?
No.
Based upon what you saw, you had a lot of opportunity to see my client. You believed he was doing everything he could that day.
Yes.
Okay. Any redirect? Yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Solomon, you never saw Defendant Peterson or heard him say anything to those kids that you were trying to get out of the way and
No.
out of the city, correct?
No.
And would it be that you never conveyed to the defendant about those bullets coming from the inside of the building because it was obvious to you that that's where they were coming from?
Correct.
Also, if we go back, Let me ask you this. At that point in time, and you see the children in the parking lot, were you more concerned about the safety of those children or your own safety?
Safety of the children.
Do you have any recollection of hearing anyone or order a code red that day?
I did not.
And the fire alarm system. If you know, would the fire alarm be louder in the classrooms or louder outside in the hallways?
It would be louder in the classroom, in the building.
All right. Thank you.
Based on that, any recross?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, State, is the witness excused?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you may step down. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
While he's doing that, State, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, to say we'd be calling Kyle Lamont.
Sir, if I could have you come all the way up here to the witness stand, please. Once you reach it, but before you have a seat, you can just stop and look at me, please. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Yes. Please be seated. And once you are seated, if I need you to scoot that chair all the way up as far as it will go, can you please state your full name and spell your full name?
Kyle Allen Lamont, Kyleallenlaman.
Mr. Kilmer, you may inquire.
Thank you, Judge. Kyle, how old are you?
I am 20.
20. Where did you go to high school?
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
Back on February 14th of 2018, how old are you?
14 or 15.
Okay. On February 14th of 2018, were you shot?
Yes.
Where were you shot?
In my right foot.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask the witness to come down to show the jury injury.
That's correct.
Just stand right here. Kyle, if you would please take off your right shoe and your right sock. And lift up your pants. All right, thank you, Kyle. You can put everything back on and sit down. How did you suffer that injury on February 14th of 2018?
It was on the third floor of the building, on the 1200 building.
Was this during fourth period?
Yes.
And what class were you in?
Personalization, but it is study hall.
Now, earlier in that day, was there a fire alarm that went off at MSD?
Yes.
Was that a standard, normal fire alarm?
Yeah.
Okay. And now, during a fire alarm, what were you taught as a student at MSD to do?
We were told to go into the hallway to extract out of the exit doors and leave the building.
Okay. And earlier in the day, is that exactly what you did?
Yeah.
Now, going back to fourth period, after 2 p.m. that day, at some point in time, did you hear another fire alarm go off?
Yes.
Did you think that was strange that there were 2 fire alarms in one day?
Not necessarily, because culinary was always burning stuff.
So culinary,
Yeah.
building 5,
I think so.
always burning stuff.
Always, it's usually popcorn or something like that. And it was pretty regular to get like like a fire alarm.
Okay. Now, when you heard that second fire alarm, so the one around 2:20, what did you do?
Just like normally went out of the classroom as a class, and then proceeded to go into the hallway, but it was just strange that no one was like, usually it's like quick, everyone just goes to the exit, but weren't moving.
Your Honor, may I first witness?
You may.
Kyle, I'm showing you what's been already previously states J for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yeah.
Are you in this picture?
Yes.
Where are you?
Right there. I have my headphones on.
Yellow circle.
Yeah.
Your Honor, at this time the state will request to move states J into evidence as states 10.
Any objection? None. Without objection, states J for identification will now be in evidence. That is State's Exhibit 10.
Your Honor, may I publish? Is that you, Kyle?
Yep.
What do you have wearing on your head, on your ears?
Headphones.
Were you listening to music?
I believe so, yeah.
In study hall, were you permitted to listen to music?
Yeah, you could.
Did you have those headphones on while you weren't in study hall that day?
Yeah. I usually like to wear my headphones like throughout going to classes or doing anything. It just keeps me calm.
Okay. Now, at some point in time, when you're in this hallway, did you hear loud noises?
No.
At some point in time, did you eventually hear gunshots?
No, the fire alarm was so loud it couldn't really, and everyone talking, and even before that it couldn't, nothing strange.
Okay. So what strange did happen that day?
What was strange was that usually what kind of set me off guard was the fact that nobody was in the hallway was evacuating. Like, I was like, why isn't anybody moving? And so it was kind of like a weird feeling, that gut feeling, you know? And so that's when the butterflies start to kick in. And so...
Did you have butterflies at that moment?
When I realized nobody was moving, yeah.
Okay. What did you think was happening?
Someone said fire, so I was actually thinking maybe potentially a fire because maybe on the first floor. So I was thinking, oh, can't get out. I don't know. And so, and I was going through my head, but a little tiny thought in my head, because one of my biggest fears, even going to school, was that a shooting could happen. So I was like, oh God, please no. And so that's what I was thinking about mainly, but then, you know, fire stuff. So I was like, okay.
Okay, so then what happened next?
Next, as nobody was moving, teachers started to get antsy. You know, they're like, what's going on too? And that's when your fear started to kick in, like, okay, what is actually happening? Because I don't want my biggest fear to come to life right now. And so, you know, teachers are getting antsy, and then I'm sitting in the back trying to look at my teacher and say, what do we do? Because there's an exit right behind us. But we weren't, then we realized that if there's doors locked or something like that, then can't get out or something. And so we were kind of just waiting, and then I believe the east doors opened, and then we were like, okay. And then it got super quiet, and then just round after round after round after round.
Of gunshots?
Yeah.
How loud were they?
It was kind of hard to tell in the moment, but because, I mean, for me, I didn't even recognize it. I was kind of, you know, starstruck about it. I was like, and then, but it was loud. You know, it was louder than the fire alarms. So that's all I know.
When you were in that hallway, that's where you were shot.
Yeah.
Once you were shot, what did you do?
Instantly took cover. Just run to anything that could get me out of the hallway.
And where did you go?
I went to on the image you can actually see there's a bathroom there that cut out right next to my right.
You can actually draw on the screen. Your Honor, may I allow the privileges for that?
Yeah.
So,
No, that's the eraser.
yeah, that's the eraser.
Pencil?
There you go.
There you go. Can you draw where you went to?
I went to this location or either, yeah, I believe it was this one.
Okay. And is that the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay, and are the bathroom doors locked?
The bathroom doors were locked.
Okay. So were you shot when you got in it to that alcove? Were you
I was already hit.
Okay.
And I moved in there.
When you were in that, we'll just call it an alcove. When you were in the alcove, were there other kids in there with you?
Yes.
Okay. Was Joaquin Oliver in there with you?
Me personally, I didn't know Joaquin, and I didn't know him, but I found out that it was.
Okay.
And then one of my friends that was with me, his name is my good buddy of mine, Tyler, and he was there with me.
Okay. So it was the three of you in that alcove?
Yes.
Okay. How long would you estimate, complete estimate, of how long you've stayed in that alcove?
For me, it felt like 30 minutes,
Okay.
but in reality, I think it was like maybe like a minute or two.
What were you thinking when you were in that alcove?
Oh, I'm gonna die. Because I looked down, I was so looking down at my foot and realizing like half of it's missing. Because I couldn't see the front part because I had my shoes on and I was wearing, can't see it, but I have Vans on, and so they're a very lower type shoe.
Are they similar to the ones you're wearing today?
Actually, yeah. And so they kind of looked like the shoes I'm wearing today. But pools of blood, and it felt like, have you ever walked into a puddle of shoes? It's just like that, but very warm. And so that's what it felt like. And
You said
then,
puddle of shoes, I think you meant.
oh, puddle of water, sorry. And so like, if you ever walked into a puddle of water and your shoes are all soaked and you're like, oh, man, your socks are all wet. Imagine that, but just instead of cold, it's warm. And all red. And I was just thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to walk, or run, matter of fact. So I was kind of like, I feel like I was just gonna die there and be stuck. So
At some point in time, when you were in that alcove, because you can't see the picture, what position were you in?
So if you look over here in this little area, this is where Tyler was. He was sitting on that wall. I was right in front of him, so I was to the right of that, right in front of that, where the door is. And then Joaquin was where the door is on the wall. So that's how we were laid out. Tyler was right here. I was right in front of Tyler, and then he was on the wall.
Were you standing? Were you
I was
crouching?
standing.
Okay.
I was standing the whole time, and in the video, I think you could see me peek the corners as well, just trying to see where the shooter's at.
Okay. Actually, at this time, good point, good segue. Your Honor, I would like to show what's already been in evidence as States F3 of State 6, and we'd ask to take
Please
that.
have to go.
Yes.
Court Deputy Unit, TV. Can you give me a razor?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Process. Okay, thank you. And what is being played right now, State?
The video that's already in as States F3 of State 6, it's a video inside the school.
Which of the 13 in the composite? State 6?
I'm sorry.
This is F3 of State 6. Got it. Okay, go ahead.
Tyler, can you look at your screen? Hi. You can just pause it there, Aaron, for a second. Do you recall why you're walking kind of back and forth?
No idea.
Okay.
But I didn't even remember that until now. I just realized that it was like, because I don't know if you can see, I'm on my phone, so I wasn't even paying attention.
Got it. Okay. At this point in time, do you realize what's going on?
I haven't seen this week, but fear.
What did you recall what you're hearing at this point?
I couldn't even remember. But mainly just like I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay, fair enough.
I think it was maybe around that someone was saying over there.
Can you pause for a second? Earlier, there was testimony that the alcove was directly to the right, but it's actually a little bit further back. Is that also the bathroom, though?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Like the alcove. Same layout, correct? Is that yes, Kyle?
Yes.
Okay. You can apply. That's you running out there, limping out. Kyle, after you ran down the 3 flights of stairs and you went out to the west, did you see other students outside?
Yeah.
Did you see any adults outside?
I'm sorry, I haven't seen the full video before, so yeah, I did. I ran out and I saw my my classmates, or I don't know if they were in my class or not. I remember seeing one of my friends I was just remember yelling at them to run, get out of here. But first I was trying to tell them I need an adult. Someone needs to be here, because a police officer, anybody, an adult, they need somebody, because you guys need to run, get out of here, someone.
Did you ultimately come upon an adult?
Yes.
Is that Jeff Heinrich?
Yeah.
And what did Jeff Heinrich do for you?
He ultimately he came out of nowhere. I didn't even see him. He just grabbed me. He was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "There's a shooter in there." And then he went to find cover in a car and proceeded to hear more shots. And just taking cover behind cars and still hearing gunshots and stuff like that.
Stop you there, Kyle. The shots that that you were hearing at this point, were they loud?
Yeah, because originally I think I had my headphones like completely off or something like that, and they were just started getting very loud and louder.
Now, once you were with Jeff Heinrich, do you recall where you went?
We went more west towards the football field on the outside of the bleachers.
Were you able to still walk at this point in time?
Yeah, but then I started to feel the pain, and it started to hurt more, and so I started more to like limp, I guess. But then Jeff tried to get me over the fence, but I couldn't do it. And so, because there's an officer on the other side he was talking to, and then we just decided to run more west towards the other school, and then we went to the locker room for the baseball team.
And in the locker room, did you receive treatment from Jeff Heinrich?
Yes. I got a tourniquet, and I believe there's someone else there. I don't know his name.
Then ultimately, did the ambulance come for you?
Yeah, they were very fast.
Now, about your injuries, do you recall how many surgeries you've had on your right foot, ankle?
I can't really count them. More than 5, though, or like 4 or something like that.
And I'm sorry to ask this question, but do you have lasting impacts on your foot?
Yeah. I go through spans of pain where I can't walk for 2 weeks. I can't do the things I used to do. I'm one broken foot away from getting my leg cut off. I can't, every day is pain. And so whether it's walking, going up the stairs, just standing still, it hurts. And so it's very hard for me to walk for very long distances without having my foot literally looking like a football, or it just feels like very sharp needles, and that are just kind of going up.
Back in 2018, when you were a student at MSD, did you know the school resource officer, Scot Peterson?
No.
Had you ever seen him before?
I think so, but I've never really paid attention to it.
Nothing further for Kyle.
Okay, cross-examination, go ahead.
Kyle, it's nice to see you again. I promise to get you out of here very quickly. I'm sorry again for what you've done. Okay. Your teacher was Rosierski, correct?
Yes.
And you were on the 3rd floor of the 1200 building, correct?
Yes.
And I want to know first if you heard any of the shots that went on the 1st floor, went off on the 1st floor before the fire alarm went off.
No.
You didn't hear any of those, correct?
No.
The fire alarm was super loud, correct?
Yeah.
And everything seemed normal, did it not, when you all exited onto the 3rd floor?
Yes.
When you looked over at your friends as you're coming out of the classroom, did it look like anybody thought that there was an active shooter in the building?
No.
It looks like on the video everybody's kind of smiling and acting like normal, correct?
Yes.
And the first time that you heard any shots or knew that there was somebody shooting is when that person appears on the 3rd floor, correct?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
And ultimately we see it run out and then you encounter Sergeant Heinrich, correct?
Yes.
And you told him very clearly that there is an active shooter in the 1200 building, correct?
Yes.
And you told him that because you wanted to help and hopefully he would get that information out, correct?
Yes.
That was your intention, correct?
Yes.
And ultimately, he had you take a position of cover behind a car, correct?
Yes.
And you did that because you were concerned that you might be hit with sniper fire, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Kyle, I do wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Okay, based on that, any redirect? State is the witness excused?
Yes.
All right, so you may step down. Thank you very much. While he is doing that, ladies and gentlemen, looks like a good time for our lunch break, so we're going to take a lunch break. At this point, same admonition as always, please do not discuss the facts of the case, the evidence, the witnesses, or the testimony amongst yourselves or anyone else until we reach the end of the case. I'll tell you when that is. If you will leave the notepads in your chairs, they'll be waiting for you when you come back. I hope you have a nice lunch. We will see you at the jury room at 1:45 p.m. 1:45 p.m. at the jury room. Thank you.
That concludes segment number 2 in today's coverage of the trial of Scot Peterson. There is more to come. I'm Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.
This has been a special report from True Crime Today and the Hidden Killers podcast.